Okay guys, let's start typing some HTML code here. And question is what to put at the very top of every page you're going to create. Well, it's really not important how you're going to create it, even manually, or you're gonna learn PHP and create stuff dynamically, like your own content management system. So whatever you learn, whatever you choose, at the very top there must be that doc type declaration. And that thing means that you're telling your browser, apply specific rendering rules to this page I have created. Because if you don't do that, page can be totally messed up at the end user side. So let's talk about different versions of doctype declaration. Go to Google and type W3C doctype declarations, and you're gonna probably land with a recommended list of doctype declarations at W3C Quality Assurance web page. So let's go there. And here's the thing, because we are working right now with HTML5, it will be sufficient just to copy paste or type manually doctype HTML, and you're like done. But in the past you have total mess, and I was telling you about that in a couple of last tutorials, in first one actually, I think, where you have HTML4. Not just that, you have subversions like strict and transitional and frameset, and you as a web programmer needs to know about these things and difference between these things. So for example, you're gonna apply a strict version where you are totally respecting strict rules that every command here you issue need to have opening, start and the closing part, let's say. And when you say strict, that means browser, I have respected that rules, just render that thing normally. But if you don't do that, if you don't specify anything, your browser will render maybe that page in a weird way. So on your machine it will look fine, but on other people's machines it will look maybe weird, maybe, because that was like 10 or 15 years ago, and browsers were like lacking support for a lot of stuff from standards. So HTML4, and not just that, HTML01, XHTML 1.1, and all this stuff, and MathML, and this compound documents, and this SVG type of standards, and even before that mess with 2 and 3.2 version, and basic XHTML. See, you need to know as web developers these things, well, at least differences between them like 10 or 15 years ago. Now you just don't care. You just put stuff on the screen, this one, on editor, and when your web page is saved, your browser will recognize what needs to be done. And here's the thing, I know that you can create web pages without this, but you can expect weird results. Yes, browsers these days are very advanced, and let me just grab a water, and they will do their best, but don't rely on that too much, like there are edge cases. So this list is informative, list of these things like subversions, and does not try to be exhaustive because there is many of them, subversions and stuff. There are many other proper declarations you could use, but it has most of the declarations commonly used on the web at the moment. Why? Because it's a difference between creation of web page for classical viewer or internet, and it's different when you're creating some banking applications in the past. So that's why we have these stricts and transitional and frames and stuff like that. So if you have a little bit of time, you can go there, but just consider yourself very happy because we have HTML5 and 6 version coming. Okay, so let's just grab this stuff and copy paste it or type it dynamically. So uppercase doctype and space and HTML. And as you see here, we don't have any kind of colors for code. Why is that so? Because this file is actually not saved yet. See, we have a star here. So let's also have one dedicated HTML command. Don't worry about this if you don't know what it is. It's just important to note about those colors. So file is not saved, and we need to save our file with appropriate extension as it's in standard. .html, that's most people use that thing, and some people like this short version .htm just. But if you type HTML, then a lot of people will just instantly recognize what you're talking about, even if they are beginners. Okay, so HTML will get the job done as a file extension. So let's save it. File, save as, and I'm gonna save it on desktop because this is not classical web server, so having web file on a desktop will get the job done. Don't worry about that, okay? This is not PHP. The thing will run automatically without too much effort. So let's save it as test, and don't forget extension, okay? You must type that manually. So HTML, and now see, you have different like stuff here and different colors. So your editor automatically recognizes that you are dealing with HTML page, with a web page, and it will allow automatic recognition of those things. Why? Because over time you're gonna have many of these on a page, and you need to mentally differentiate between HTML code and actual paragraph of usable text. Okay, so that's for your help. Okay, guys. So after that, let me just clear this. Don't worry about that. We're gonna understand everything. So after that, there are a couple of things we need to put here, but to save ourselves a little bit of time, because we are already on 6 minutes, you will just be totally fine grabbing a template. Don't worry, we're gonna explain stuff. So grab this template here and copy paste it in here to just have something on a screen as end result, because we need to have something in a browser to make sure that our page is correct. So don't worry about what these things means. Let's just copy paste it to save time, and see, that's what I'm talking about. You have different colors, for blue colors, for these HTML dedicated commands, and they are actually tags or tags, whatever the terminology in English is. So when you see this blue stuff, and you see actually you have sections here, editor is offering you that automatic recognition of sections. So every time when you see this color, that means that thing is a part of HTML or some programming language. If you're doing that stuff in that programming language, like if you work with PHP, the colors will be appropriate, C++ colors will be appropriate and stuff. But that's pretty much it about HTML. Blue colors for main options, and the character set is in red, and also you will see over time when red is appropriate, so don't worry about that. Now we're gonna talk about this more, but let's just have something on a screen for now. So let's save this thing, and let's go to my desktop, and I'm just gonna grab and paste this thing in tab to see what's up. There you go, it's automatically opened, no errors, and you see end result. And that thing corresponds to, where is my freaking editor? That thing corresponds to your HTML content here. You see just that, because it's in body major section of code usable to viewer, to end user. So you see that, but there are some things, some special codes that end user doesn't see. Well, why is that so when this thing is obviously black as that thing? Because some things need to be visible to search engines like Google. So Google will go through these codes, and when it runs into head section, it will say like, okay, this is for me. I'm gonna grab this as a title of web page, and this is how I'm going to like render it. Or sorry, this is the local encoding of this page. Means if you are like typing stuff for Arabian market, you're gonna use different encoding there. In Cyrillic alphabet, you're gonna use different things. Here, don't worry, there is a list that you can put here, but for now it's just to note that these things exist here to target specific markets, so that end users there can see their own local like letters correctly. So these things are like meta things. See, meta, the things that are important for machines. And in the body section you have code dedicated for viewers, and of course in that part of the code there are things that are really visible, and there are things like these codes that characterize using HTML language how that code will look like on a screen. Because see, It's just pure paragraph, very simple text. But the moment when when you change this P to H1, and here you must close it, H1, remember, with a slash. Now that thing will be like same letters, but the look and feel be different. See? There you go. The title of the page. So there is a difference between actual code intended for search engines and there are code that your end user need to see. How I know that? Well, if you go here on a right click and you say view page source, see, you're gonna see actually that code hidden in the background. Yes, it's rendered, it is there, but it is exactly like it's in editor, it's there on a server, let's say. So yeah guys, you're gonna see some things intended for viewer, but some things will be hidden. Don't worry, you're gonna learn about that over time. And in next tutorial, we're gonna start rolling through every of these individual HTML commands or tags individually. Don't try to memorize them, you're gonna learn about that over time. So that's pretty much it. Sorry for me bragging about this stuff so much, but I really like to explain these things because this is base of everything. Anyway, I'm gonna shut up and thank you for watching. See ya in next tutorial.